Each year, the Railway Preservation Society of Ireland, or the RPSI, run a series of Santa special trains from Dublin. The trains are run over 3 weekends in the lead up to Christmas. This year, the first train was on the 29th of November and the last on the 14th of December. The trains depart from Pearse Station in Dublin and run to Maynooth and back along Irish Rail's main line to Sligo. Because the specials run on the main line, they have to fit into the gaps between the regular services. Specials have a lower priority than the scheduled services, so once they get out of their allocated path, delays can quickly mount. In the morning, the first train of the season had run relatively punctually, but the afternoon train ran into some problems. Having left roughly on time, it lost steam pressure and ground to a halt outside Leixlip. The crew managed to build the pressure up again, but the train arrived into Maynooth half an hour late. Having arrived so late, the special missed its scheduled path back to Dublin and had to let 4 service trains pass before setting off again. Maynooth is the station where the double line from Dublin becomes a single line for the rest of the way to Sligo. Because of this, it's an important passing point for intercity trains. Maynooth is also the first and last stop for intercity services to or from Dublin. Commuter services are timetabled to connect with the intercity trains. Running ahead of the trains to Sligo, a commuter service collects all the passengers from the suburban stations and brings them to Maynooth in time to catch the intercity. Once the 2 intercity trains have passed in Maynooth, another commuter train returns to Dublin, allowing the passengers from Sligo to connect with the suburban stations. This dance of 4 trains happens a few times every day in Maynooth. Once the 4 service trains have passed, the steam special can finally depart, but by the time it sets off, light is really fading fast. On the morning of the second day, the train arrived over the horizon bang on time. It seems that a fresh batch of better quality coal did the trick and there was no repeat of the steam raising problems the day before. For almost the entire route between Dublin and Maynooth, the railway line follows along the banks of the Royal Canal. Boat traffic on the canal is quite light, especially in winter, so it was unusual to see a boat appearing in the distance on a November morning. The canal runs from Dublin to the River Shannon near Longford, a distance of 140 kilometres. Work on the canal started in 1790 and the Shannon was reached in 1817. The canal fell into disrepair in the middle of the 20th century and closed to navigation. However, the canal has since been restored and became fully navigable again in 2010. The steam engine pulling the trains this year is the RPSI's number 461, a 260 locomotive built for the Dublin and South Eastern Railway in 1922 by Bear and Peacock in Manchester. Because the train arrived in Maynooth on time, it was able to leave before the 4 scheduled services that held it up for so long the day before. A little east of Maynooth is Dunna Moor, the remains of an ancient monastic site. According to myth, St. Patrick rested here. The monastery didn't survive beyond the 11th century, and the later church was in ruins by the 14th. The Santa specials are long as steam haul trains go, and the crew often have to battle poor adhesion on wet days, but they had no such worries on this glorious December morning. Irish Rail are in the process of changing the livery on their commuter trains. Here the front 4 rail cars are in the old livery and the back 4 in the new. This line was built by the Midland Great Western Railway, a part of their route from Dublin to Galway. The line followed the Royal Canal as far as Mullingar, where the railway turned south towards Athlone and on to Galway from there. Work on the line started in 1846 and the line opened as far as Mullingar 2 years later in 1848. The line reached Galway in 1851. The section of the line from Mullingar to Sligo started life as a branch line and didn't open until 1862. Trains from Dublin to Galway used this line until the 1970s, when Galway services were moved to a more southerly route out of Dublin, leaving from Euston Station. The link between Mullingar and Athlone has since closed, and the former branch from Mullingar to Athlone has become the main line. A few hundred yards east of Maynooth you can get a view down the long straight towards and beyond Pike Bridge. The home signal for Maynooth Station is located at the end of this straight. This signal seems to be used as a sort of traffic calming measure because every train seems to get held up here, at least for a while. The morning of the 13th of December was the coldest of the 6 days the specials operated in 2014. Although most of the frost had cleared by the time the first specials arrived in Maynooth around 11:30 AM, there was still a thin sheet of ice on the canal. Maynooth Station only has two platforms. Normally the intercity services meet in Maynooth Station, each using one of the two platforms. However, on the days the specials run, they use platform 2, so the intercity trains have to take turns at using platform 1, and the train from Dublin has to await its turn outside the station at the home signal. little east of Maynooth along the Royal Canal, you can just get a distant glimpse of the Loco as she runs around her train in Maynooth. On the 3 Saturdays there was also one diesel-hauled train as well as the 2 steam specials, but these all departed Dublin after dark and so couldn't be filmed. Because there's no turntable or railway triangle in Maynooth, return trips all have to run with the locomotive facing backwards, or tender first. Maynooth station opened with this section of the line in 1848, however it was closed in 1947, just shy of its 100th birthday. The signal cabin didn't close with the station though, and Maynooth remained a block post. In the late 1970s the block post and the signal cabin were removed as well, completely closing the station. This sorry state of affairs didn't last long though, with the station reopening to passengers in 1981 for a new Dublin-Maynooth commuter service. The signal cabin was also reinstated and Maynooth became a block post once again. Maynooth remains a block post today, but the signal cabin is no longer used. It wasn't demolished though, and still stands alongside platform 1. The original station buildings didn't survive after the original 1914 closure though, and a modern glass and steel building houses the ticket office and shop today. As soon as the train arrives in Maynooth, the crew leap into action to get the train watered as quickly as possible. Access to water isn't always easy in a modern station though. As soon as the loco is watered, it's disconnected from the train and moved forward so it can run around. Soon as the loco moves off, the crew get to work watering the steam generator van, which provides heat to the carriages.